Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all keeping well. For this video, I'd like to do a review of a movie, a modern movie that I watched the other night, and I was really made up with. It was a pure delight to watch from start to finish, and no doubt when you all see the movie, I'm going to show you. You'll probably nod your head in appreciation. Yeah, now it's a movie from 2021 based on a story by Edgar Rice and a screenplay by Edgar Rice, and that movie is called Night in Soho. Now, I tell you what, guys, I have never enjoyed a movie so much recently as I've enjoyed this one. It was a fantastic story from start to finish. Now, before I say anything more about the movie and give me thoughts on it as a whole, I'll just read you the blurb at the back just to give you an idea, just in case, you haven't seen it, you're not familiar with it. In acclaimed director Edgar Wright's psychological thriller, Eloise, played by Thomasin McKenzie, an aspiring fashion designer, is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s, where she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer, Sandy, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. But the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something far darker. Oh yeah, this is a fantastic movie, this, guys. I'm very glad I got it, bought it on Blu-ray to add to my collection. I've heard a lot of good reviews about this movie, so I thought to myself, I'll check that out just to see what all the hype is about. And I tell you, I'm very glad I did, because it was just a joy to watch from start to finish. I love the 1960s backdrop, the main protagonist, this fashion designer, Eloise, and that, as she goes to London and that to sort of like fulfill her dreams of becoming a top fashion designer. And I don't want to give too much away of the story. I don't want to spoil it for you in case, you haven't seen it and that. So I'll just sort of like be as concise as I can. Just give you a basic idea of what the story's about, yeah. So she goes to London and that to sort of like, high dreams of becoming a fashion designer. And she, when she starts off in London, she stays for a bit with these girls and that, these party-loving girls and that. But then she looks in the paper and sees there's a room to let in this boarding house, so she goes along to the boarding house and she rents this room out. And the landlady is played by Diana Rigg, if you remember from the Avengers, who very sadly lost her, a few months ago. So she takes the room in this boarding house, and that's where all hell breaks loose, guys, because she starts having these weird dreams about this blonde girl from the 1960s, Sandy. She's a kind of a Marilyn Monroe type figure. She mixes with all sorts of people and that, and she brushes with gangsters and that, and she starts having these weird dreams about it and that, and eventually the dreams become reality. So that the Eloise, she starts ending up watching everything what Sandy experiences in the 1960s, episodes and that, and it's not too long before Eloise is sucked into Sandy's world and literally becomes her, yeah. And then, but I'll leave it there and that. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but this is a fantastic movie, this, guys, it really is, yeah. Fantastic acting and that, great story, great characters and that, and yeah, really enjoyed it, and I'm very glad I got it. I love the 60s backdrop, a very colourful movie to watch and that, beautiful to look at. This is a kind of a movie that's hard to define, because it's a part ghost story, it's a part horror, it's a part psychological thriller, and it's got this sort of like weird time slip aspect about it, like Eloise and that goes back in time to the 1960s, and she witnesses everything, all the 1960s London and that, the scenery and that, the buses and that, and all the people on the pavements and that, dressed in the 1960s fashion. And there's some great musical scenes in this, guys, as well, the dancing and that, fantastic choreography, done in this movie and that, and yeah, all very good. And I got a couple of old favourite British actors. Terence Stamp, he's in it, and as I say, Diana Rigg, and yeah, fantastic story, yeah, I'm really glad I got it and that. And solid storyline, good characters, really held me attention from start to finish, because just when you thought it was going one way, the plot went to another way in that, and a couple of good twists in this movie, guys, yeah. And I have to say, it thoroughly deserved all the critical acclaim it has received from people who's watched it, yeah. Last Night in Soho, brilliant story, colourful and that, a movie with a good rewatchability factor. I was utterly enthralled and gripped from start to finish as I followed the exploits of the main protagonist, Eloise, and that, and moving to London and that, wants to become a fashion designer. And it's also got aspects of I mean, I won't give away too much of it, but in regard to the ghost elements, it reminded me a little bit of Carnival of Souls. It's got that kind of surreal aspect to it, but it had other sort of like other parts in the movie that made me think of other kind of movies, like time slip movies, you know, even M.R. James's ghost stories. Like, imagine M.R. James stories set in a modern setting, you know, in 1960s London. And I loved it. Yeah, I loved the when it starts off and he shows Eloise with all a 1960s LPs and that, you know, it certainly brought back memories and that. You know, me mum used to get the 1960s LPs and that, and she used to play them every Sunday on a record player and that. Some great tunes there, and you'd even see Cilla Black, well, it's actually an actress, of course, taking Cilla Black off, singing and that, you know, all Cilla's top hits and that. And yeah, great musical score. And even when Eloise goes into a bar and that, and has a chat with I think it's Terence Stamp, he puts the record on Eloise and that, you know, very, very fitting for the name and that. Oh yeah, I really enjoyed this Last Night in Soho. Now I must admit, I did go into it with an open mind. I didn't raise my expectations too high, just in case it proves to be disappointing, like a lot of modern horror movies have proved disappointing, you know. But this is a pleasing exception, guys. I could highly recommend it. If you haven't seen this one, Last Night in Soho, I highly recommend that you go out and get yourself a copy or rent it and that. But it's a movie well worth having in your collection. Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. Really, really held me attention and that. I was fascinated by Eloise and that, all the things that happened to her, and the way it went back in time to the 1960s and featuring this glamour girl, you know, Sandy. You know, it's just almost as if Eloise becomes Sandy. She's sort of like, you know, she sort of like lives a life and that, you know, through the eyes of Sandy and that, you know, a very vicarious movie and that, you know, and yeah, beautiful colour, lovely scenery, great costumes and that, solid acting, and it really held me attention, as I say. And oh yeah, it's a pity that this didn't come with a slipcover. So if there's anybody out there, guys, who's got a spare slipcover for this movie, let me know, you know, and you know, if you're selling it, I'll pay whatever you want for it and that, you know. Yeah, so yeah, I'd love a slipcover with this. Yeah, okay then, guys, on to my review of Last Night in Soho. No hesitation whatsoever, this is going to get a solid 10 out of 10 for me. One of the most enjoyable movies I've watched, you know, in the last year. I could watch it again and again. I have so many aspects about it that I liked, you know, that I say predominantly the ghost story elements, the horror elements, the 60s setting. You know, I love movies with a 60s setting. Fine acting all around and that, and I was really, 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 really delighted with this movie. I could highly recommend it to anybody. You know, if you don't like this movie, well, you know, I don't know. You know, all I can say is I don't know what would please you. But yeah, so there you go, guys. That's my review of the masterpiece that was Last Night in Soho from 2021. Have you seen Last Night in Soho? And I know there's a lot of you out there that have. Leave your comments down below. Do you share my favourable review of this modern day masterpiece? Leave your comments down below. Be very interested to hear, you know, what you thought of it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I'll be watching this again, you know, in a couple of days' time. That's how much I enjoyed it and that. I haven't watched the special features yet. It's just got filmmaker commentaries and deleted scenes, plus go behind the scenes with filmmakers and talents to discover how this groundbreaking film was made. Yeah. Oh yeah, I just absolutely loved it. And it had a bit of everything in it. As I say, the time slip elements, the horror elements, the musical elements, you know, the ghostly elements and that. Yeah. Oh, it's a number of things. There's many ingredients in this movie. Many ingredients in this movie, guys, that made it, you know, a movie well worth, you know, adding to your collection. Yeah. Okay, guys, that concludes my review of the brilliant Last Night in Soho. The usual, please feel free to share, subscribe, comments, and all going well. I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care. Bye for now.